Hi friends, it's Grace and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing what I would like to call my birthday book haul because it's not my birthday today, but we're very close to my birthday. And honestly, lately I've kind of just buying books based on vibes. Just whatever like makes me happy in that moment. Of course, things that I want to read, but I've been trying to just like take myself where my mood takes me. In July, I've actually been doing a bit of mood reading. Like I made myself a TBR, but I allowed myself a little bit more flexibility within that. And honestly, reading some shorter books that I've just been like in the mood for at the time has been working out really well for me. So this could be my new mood reader era. Probably not, because I still am obsessed with making a TBR, but maybe I'll just allow myself a little bit more freedom. Or maybe it's just how I feel in the summer. Who knows? Regardless, let's just talk about some of the books that I've been buying lately, just because they made me happy to think about having them and reading them. And yeah, that's basically the whole gist of it. So first off, we have a book that is probably not my usual vibe, and that is Chlorine by Jade Song. This has been compared to The Vegetarian by Hong Kong, and there's something else that it's been compared to, but I don't really remember. It says it in the Goodreads description, but Chlorine is the story of a young girl who I believe is like high school age, and she's on the swim team. And this is a book about like obsession and her obsession with swimming and the pressure that she puts on herself and her teammates having that happen as well, and just them kind of getting wrapped up in this little world. And it is like coming of age, but it is very much like a story about obsession. And it is like maybe arguably horror, but I think it's more like unsettling literary fiction vibes. And so it's calling to me, and I think it sounds super interesting, but it's one of those books where I think it's hard to tell where like I'm gonna fall, whether I'm really gonna love it or whether I'll be like morbidly fascinated by it. Next up, we have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, which, like, I'll be honest, I don't even really know what this is about, and I don't really care either, because like if we can have another The Love Hypothesis, which I just like devoured and had fun with, that's what I'm looking for out of this. And it feels like Ali Hazelwood really enjoys writing books like in this same vein. I don't think this takes place in grad school. I think this takes place in like scientific industry, but I think it's kind of like the same vibes, the same difference. Like if it has that idea, then I am all for it, and I'm just hoping that it'll be really fun. Next up, we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. And so this is, I'm not sure how heavy on the fantasy this is, but I think it's like romantasy, which, by the way, is a word that I love. I don't know how long it's been around. I've only just started seeing people use it within like maybe the past 3 months, but I will admit to being like obsessed with the term romantasy just because it sounds so much better than fantasy romance. Like I'm glad that we have combined it into one word, but that's what I think this is. So you have Cambridge professor Emily Wilde, who travels to this small town to try and study fairy folklore and like write her book about it. But then you have this mysterious man who like could be a love interest, but also is like wrapped up in a more central mystery where Emily Wilde ends up being like, well, who really is this guy? Like, can I trust him? What does he want? Type of thing. And so I'm hoping that on the whole, this ends up being relatively lighthearted. Like, I'm down for a mystery, but I don't really want this to go in like a dark direction. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I think that this will be very fun. I haven't read a ton of fairy books, so I feel like this will be a good introduction, especially if it actually does kind of explain some of the folklore behind fairies while the character is writing her book, because I love folklore and I'm always super interested in that. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. Also, it's just like such a gorgeous little hardcover book. I didn't know that it was going to be the size that it was going to be, and I just think it's so cute. Next up, we have Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson, which is basically the story of an entire family of like, I don't know, I guess assassins, or maybe hitmen. Like, I think that they're kind of like a crime family, but I mean, I think that this is just like the story of a family reunion where our main character and everyone in their family has like a murder to tell the story of, and I think that we probably do get the stories of a lot of these murders, and just apparently this is like super compelling, super entertaining in the way that it's written, and I don't know, maybe it's the title, but I just couldn't resist this. Next up, we have Happy Place by Emily Henry, and so I couldn't resist buying this, even though I'm super behind on the Emily Henrys that I own at this point, but I think the reason that I bought this is because I've seen reviews for it so far that fall like all over the map. I've seen people loving this, and I've seen people just really not being a fan. And this is the story of two characters who they were dating for a long time, and every year they and their friends will get together at this getaway. But this year they have actually broken up, but they haven't told anyone. But they're still invited to this get together, and they're actually supposed to be celebrating, I believe, the engagement of another couple in their group. So they don't want to ruin the entire occasion, so they decide to pretend that they're still together just for like this one weekend. And it feels like something that I could really enjoy because it's like fake dating, but not quite, because obviously in a literal sense it is them pretending to be together, but with them having been in a long-term relationship, you're gonna have all of this history and all of this like context and emotional baggage between the two characters. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, and I think I'm just interested to see like whether I'm gonna like this or not, and like whether I'm gonna have the same complaints as I've seen some other people have, or whether I'll just love it and really enjoy it. And obviously I hope that that's what happens, but I'm just really interested to see. Next up, we have The Hunger by Alma Katsu, which is a horror novel inspired by the Donner Party. And from what I've seen, like knowing that Alma Katsu also wrote The Deep, which is based on the Titanic, I think it's really interesting that this author has chosen like real historical influences to then set like a horror / supernatural novel as the backdrop of. So it says, "Evil is invisible and it is everywhere. That is the only way to explain the series of misfortunes that have plagued the wagon train known as the Donner Party. Depleted rations, bitter quarrels, and the mysterious death of a little boy have driven the isolated travelers to the brink of madness. Though they dream of what awaits them in the West, long-buried secrets begin to emerge, and dissent among them escalates to the point of murder and chaos. As members of the group begin to disappear, the survivors start to wonder if there really is something disturbing and hungry waiting for them in the mountains, and whether the evil that has unfolded around them may have in fact been growing within them all along." So I feel like I've heard really good things about Alma Katsu, and this is really not that long of a book, so I'm hoping that it's gonna kind of be like scary but like spooky and hopefully supernatural in nature, and just kind of like jam-packed with this suspenseful like interpersonal type of horror. Honestly, I haven't even read that much horror, but I've been buying a lot of it just because for some reason I feel like reading it. So hopefully it turns out that I like this. Next up, we have The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, which is like a mystery thriller, and the whole concept of this is that our main character, Jess, visits Paris and asks her brother, I think, if she can stay with him, her half-brother. She asks if she can stay with him for a little bit, and he says yes, but when she gets to his apartment, he's not there, and something is very sketchy about it, and the neighbors are being all like cagey about it and won't really tell her. So I think that it's gonna be just her kind of getting to the bottom of this mystery, and I love a good mystery, so I'm hoping that this is just one that is very compelling, because apparently everybody is a suspect, and that is very like Agatha Christie of her, and I love that setup. So I'm just hoping that it's done well, and if it is, I'm confident that I will enjoy this. Then last but certainly not least, it was on the bottom of the pile because it's the biggest book of them, and that is Blade of Dream by Daniel Abraham, the second book in the Kithamar trilogy. So I have a review for this book that went out recently because this book releases on July 18th. So I I don't, like, as the second book in a trilogy, I really don't have much to say about this. First of all, I've already read it, so I'm not like, oh, I hope I'll like it type of thing, but I really, really did enjoy this book, and I would like 100% recommend Age of Ash and Blade of Dream if you are interested. Daniel Abraham has crafted this story about a city called Kithamar that is sort of a very like gritty place to live. Like, it's got like our characters that we follow in the first book live in the slums and sort of like the dirty underbelly of this city. And then the characters that we follow in the second book are a little bit different. One of them is the son of a merchant family, and the other is the daughter of the prince. But this story, like the two books, they actually follow the same period of time, like the same year, from different perspectives. So we get to see like what has happened from a different point of view each time, and we get more information and we start to unravel what has really happened in the city. And I can't wait for the finale of this trilogy to find out, oh, what has really happened in this city, because Blade of Dream really elevated this series for me and I loved it. So I'll be very happy to have this on my shelf. So with that said, those are all of the books that I have bought recently, kind of for my birthday. Usually I will splurge a little bit around my birthday and just be like, oh yeah, I deserve it, it's my birthday. You know, it would be really unhinged if I bought 26 books because it's my 26th birthday. But even that I think is a little too much for me, just because books are freaking expensive, man. But yeah. I think this is a really interesting stack. We've got some fantasy, some romance, some thrillers, a little bit of everything, and I'm really happy about it. So let me know what you think of these books in the comments. I hope that you liked this video. Please do like if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me, and as always, I'll have my Discord and socials linked in the description, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!